Thank you for joining us today at Homestead for Life. Today we are going to pressure can pears. So the first thing we're going to do is dip our pears in boiling water for no more than 30 seconds just so we can peel them and get them cored. Once we take them out of the boiling water, we're going to put them in our lemon juice solution. You can use citric acid, whatever you like. I've already mixed it in with my cool water. So this is going to do two things. It's going to cool it down real quick, and then after we peel the skins off of them, we're going to put them back in here to soak so that it doesn't discolor before we start canning them. After we get them all peeled and cored and all that fun stuff, we are going to put them back in the pot with apple juice, boil it for 5 minutes, and then we're going to load up our cans, load up the canner, and pressure can them for 10 minutes. Okay, so boiling them for 30 seconds loosened up all the skins. So we are just going to easily kind of rub the skins off of the pears. Some spots don't rub off quite as easily as others, but for the most part, pretty easy, a little messy. Then we're going to cut it in half. Cut off any spots that don't look great, and then you can take a melon baller, or they're super soft, so my little knife is working really well, and just get out the core. And then we're just going to cut it in quarters and put it back in our citric acid so it doesn't discolor while we work through the rest of them. So same thing on this half. I'm just going to cut out the core, cut off the slightly brown bottom, quarter it, back in the citric acid. We've poured some apple juice into our pot. Of course, we emptied the water out. And now we are going to add our pears, and we're going to let it cook in the applesauce, boil in the applesauce for 5 minutes. And then we're going to scoop all of that into our canning jars. Our canning jars have been washed and sanitized in the dishwasher, so they are nice and piping hot for us and ready to go as soon as our pears are. So you can use apple juice, you can use a light syrup, a medium syrup, which is essentially like sugar water, or you can use just plain water. Plain water supposedly is not quite as tasty. But so we're using applesauce because we have it handy and it feels more natural than just going sugar water. But either way, the end result is going to be scrumptious. So we are just going to wait for those to kind of cook and sugar up a little bit in our apple juice. All right, it's been 5 minutes. Our pears are boiled in our apple juice. And we are going to scoop them into our jars. I think we're only going to end up with 2 jars this time. The beauty of our carry canner is it's great for small batches, right? Super simple. So, let's fill them up. I may only get 1 jar. It seemed like so many pears. I'm still going to split them in 2. Just so I don't have to open them and use them all at once. Alright, so once you have your jars filled with your pears, we are going to fill the rest of the way up to a 1/2 inch headspace with our apple juice. And this handy dandy canning funnel gives me the measurements, so it makes it nice and easy. I will also link this recipe in the description so you know I'm not just being creative making stuff up. which does happen sometimes, not so much in canning. All right, so we've got our jars all filled up, 1/2 inch headspace. Because it's mostly water, we're still gonna, well, apple juice, we're still gonna stab them down and make sure we've got our 1/2 inch of headspace after all the air bubbles are out. But probably we're fine. We're not packed real tight, right? But we'll check them out anyway. Still good. Still good. Okay, so we've got our distilled white vinegar. We're gonna clean the rims of our jars. We're gonna pour the rest of our vinegar into our canner. What that does is it keeps the outside of your jars from getting all cloudy. And then we are going to get our lids and put our rings on. So our lids have been simmering in hot water, not boiling. Essentially what we're doing with that, a little warm, is melting the wax, or that seal, on the bottom, along the rims there, so that you're gonna get a nice good seal on your jar. Ooh. Come on, thread on there. All right, good deal. So finger tight. And then we are going to carefully pour hot water into our canner. So each canner comes with different instructions on how much water apparently. So mine says 4 quarts. Which is 8 cups, right? 16 cups, which is 2 of these. So that's the minimum that you're gonna pour in there. So I always pour a little bit extra because it makes me feel better. But 16 cups of water in there. So we are, wow. Got closer to 24, so we're good there. And then we're gonna add our jars. Close and seal our lid. And we're gonna move our little dial thing at the top to exhaust. Okay, we're gonna let all the steam out. We're gonna let it build up pressure. We're gonna put it on high for 10 minutes. And start. So it's gonna build up all that pressure, build up the temperature, and when it starts beeping and does a countdown, when it gets close to 0, we're gonna come and flip our exhaust to airtight, and then our timer is gonna start. See you then. Okay, so our canner started beeping, we turned it to airtight, and it's processed down from 10 minutes to now being done. So our next step is to unplug it and leave it alone for an hour. So we'll come back in an hour and grab our jars. Alrighty, it's been an hour unplugged, so we are gonna open the sucker up and check out our pears. Always be careful opening it. I love the hinged lid. Very easy to open away from you. And they are still in there boiling and processing away. So we're gonna let them sit out on the counter overnight and see if they sealed properly. If they didn't seal properly, then in the fridge they go. Otherwise, we're gonna label them, date them, and put them in a cool, dark pantry. Thank you for joining us at Homestead for Life.